Peace, how y'all doing? It's your boy Free Play, and we're back with another video. So today is Monday. I don't know when y'all be watching this, but it was just Super Bowl weekend, and I had a busy weekend, you could say. On Saturday, I had a recording engineering session, which I got called up for. One of my friends, Freddie Obax, he's a rapper or artist and model from Paris, was in New York, and he called me to do a session with him. So I rented some studio time in the city and did a recording session with him on Saturday for 4 hours, and we got a few tracks done. Hopefully those will be out soon. And yesterday I was just watching the Super Bowl and took a day off. So I had a subscriber rather, ask if I could do more videos where I talk about practice and routine, or just video of just me talking. And funny enough, the last video that I posted, I rushed through the intro because I feel like, you know, talking is a little weird sometimes to like just hear yourself talk or just talk about things. But you know, getting this feedback made me realize that sometimes you don't know how much you're helping someone else just by expressing your point of view. And at times I felt like it was more like being ego driven if you just talk, you know, because people start to think that you are an authority on a subject or something like that. And by no means, like I said, I consider myself a student. I feel like this is what keeps me going. The fact that I'm willing to learn every day, the fact that I'm searching for new knowledge all the time, and I don't think that I've arrived yet. So I think that's one aspect that could take us away from that feeling that is coming from ego to just talk, whereas somebody else could feel like you talking and expressing the way you approach things is helping them. So thank you to the subscriber who wrote that, because it just made me feel a little bit more relaxed about the channel and about not caring if things are too short or too long. You know, when I see other YouTubers videos, and I shouldn't be going by this, I see that their videos are like 6 minutes long and have thousands or millions of views. And as much as I try to edit or compress my videos, they end up being like 40 minutes, 20 minutes long. And I don't feel like they are that long myself, because even when I'm doing them or when I'm working on music, I enter what I like to believe is the flow state, where time just goes by and I don't even realize how much time has gone by, or that I've been making a video for an hour for you guys. And you know, then I have to edit it and try to cut out any time where like the ASR was being slow, so that you guys don't have to just sit there through empty space. And honestly, like, now that I think about it, that empty space or that time that I have to wait where it says like it's processing something, when the ASR says it's processing something, those little moments of emptiness is what kind of gives me time to think about my process and think about what's going on. And I you know, that one comment like made me realize that like maybe long videos aren't that bad. Maybe like letting space happen or time pass by is not bad. It's actually helping us to slow things down. And that's kind of what my whole theme has been with this setup. Is like, I don't care if things take long to load or if things take longer to chop. You know, that's kind of what's bringing me to this new way of producing that is allowing me to see things differently, where I'm able to slow down and not be in such a rush. And I think for the last video that I put up, I was kind of falling back into that pattern of like wanting to make my videos shorter because that's what everybody else does. And I realized that I've gotten this far not by doing what everybody else does, but by just following my heart and following like what's been put in front of me as far as like my journey, you know, and accepting that my journey is gonna be unique. It's not gonna be the same as others. You know, my channel may not be as large or grow as fast as somebody else's that's doing a different type of content. But I remember like the reason I started this channel was to be different than what you guys are seeing all the time, you know, clickbait and just things that are, you know, fast food. You know, this is not meant to be that. And as far as discipline and practice goes, I'll be making more videos where I talk about some of the books that helped me, throughout my creative journey. But one of the main things I could say, after having a weekend of like Saturday, I worked, as a recording engineer. And yesterday I kind of just, had fun. I watched the game. I don't even watch television, to be honest. Anybody that knows me personally, they'll tell you I'm usually just on my music tip, spending time with my loved ones, or with family, or doing music or researching music obsessively. And I think between those things, like, I never really have time. I might catch a Netflix show here and there, but besides that, I'm fully into this. Like, I don't sit down to watch sports anymore or things like that. So that's one thing I could say, that goes into part of my routine. But the main thing that I wanted to bring up in this video is just showing up. Today is Monday, and even any new day, right? Like, every day is a new day. That's such a cliche, but it's true. It's like, if you show up, even if it's for 15 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour that goes by, or watching a video like this that inspires you and then motivates you to go to your own sampler and get things done, then you put in some work, and that's gonna show the next time you dedicate even more time to your craft. And I think that's one of the hardest things, even when it comes to the gym. I last year, and I've been slacking in the beginning of this year when it comes to fitness, but I was heavy into going to the gym. I was going like 3 to 4 days a week. And the biggest challenge with the gym is not strength or like, how much reps you do or how much you could deadlift. It's really just showing up. Like, that's the number one biggest challenge. It's like sitting down in front of this and showing up, or sitting at the gym and getting there. Because once you get there, once these things are on and you're in front of your machines or your computer, you're gonna get something done, even if it's going through sounds. Like, there's times where I just go through my sounds, and in Ableton or even in FL, I'll highlight, like, color code or whatever they have. I know FL has that star thing now. Like, they just did it in an update where you could put them in your favorite spin. So I have like my favorites in Ableton. Like, these are my favorite snares. These are my favorite kicks that I always keep coming back to. Or like, go through a new pack that I've never heard before and mark down like the snares and the percussion sounds basically that jump out at me. Or if it's a sample pack, I'll highlight some samples that I like, so that next time I might not even produce that whole session or make a beat. I'm just organizing sounds that I'll come back to later. And sometimes I come back to them, sometimes I don't. But I feel like that's training my ear to like figure out what I like and what I don't like. And that's what makes you unique as a producer, your taste. So you're gonna pick different snares than me. If I gave you the same pack of drum sounds, you might pick different favorites rather. And speaking of packs, I have a bit of a surprise for you guys today, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I found the factory pack of the EP-133, the Teenage Engineering KO2. I found the factory pack of sounds. Somebody posted it on a Google Drive, and I downloaded them. They're one shots, so I don't think it's licensed or copyrighted material, and if it is, I'll take it down. But I put them in a Dropbox folder for you guys, and you guys could download them. And that's what we're gonna be cooking up with today. So I have them loaded up into my drums folder where I keep all my drums, and I'm gonna go through them with you guys. I'm gonna pick some percussion sounds, and they have some. I noticed that the melody section is just one shots, so I'm guessing the idea here is like the EP-133 or the KO2, whatever you want to call it, the new sampler by Teenage Engineering, is similar to like a light version of a 2000 XL. That's what people keep calling it, and I could see where they're getting that kind of like correlation from. So I guess it's meant to be more of like, you have one shot and then you spread it across the pads. And in this case, I'm gonna be using the ASR 10, so they're gonna be spread throughout the keyboard. That's the cool thing about the ASR, where there's that video again of Kanye saying, oh, it uses no memory. And what he meant by that is like, you could copy the parameters without data and make multiple copies of a sample across the keyboard without wasting any memory. And also automatically, even though the MPC 2000 XL does that, like you could set a pad and then, you know, put it on 16 steps on the velocity, but on the ASR it puts it across 61 keys, right? And then while you're chopping, anybody that has an ASR could tell you, right? Like let's say you have one wave sample, you could copy that wave sample and basically all its data, even though you're just copying the parameters, across the keys. So I could make basically have a sample and then hit copy, and it's referencing the original sample all the time. So it's not using memory. So that's what he meant by it uses no memory. You know, if you know the Kanye video, feel free to tag it in the comments. It's a video where he talks about why he likes using the ASR, and that was in a time again where we had to be more conservative about memory inside of samplers. And you know, the EP-133, the new sampler by Teenage Engineering, which I know they did this on purpose because it's 2024, it only has 64 megabytes of memory, and it's also intended to be in the same spirit of what we're talking about using limitations. And there's ways around that. So like back in the day when people had a SP1200, they will speed up the record. So my turntable right now is spinning at 33. That's the speed that LP would play at. If you have a smaller disc of 45, which is what they call it, you spin it at 45 RPM. So that automatically makes the turntable spin faster, and faster samples, you know, equal shorter memory time. If you understand that concept, if you speed something up, you're gonna make it shorter. If you pitch something up, it automatically does that by speeding up the turntable as well. So you would speed it up and it would be like, you know, a zip sound that was really fast, and then you slow it back down inside the sampler. And that's how memory was like saved. You know, this comes up a lot, so you know, I'm just bringing it up again, but you probably heard about this concept in another video. And if you guys want me to explain that and do an example, let me know. I'll make another video for it. But basically, that process with the intent to save time or sample memory was what also ended up giving these samples their characteristic, because you're hearing the sample on the record with the pitch down effect of the sampler. So the way that each sampler sounds when it pitches something down is different based on the sampler engine inside of each one. So if you pitch something down on the MPC 2000 XL, it sounds different. If you pitch something down in the ASR 10, it sounds different than the MPC. And then also if you pitch something down inside of Ableton, it sounds different based on the Ableton algorithm. So this is kind of what gave, you know, the 1200 and all those samplers their characteristic, was the fact that people had to conserve sample memory, so they were pitching stuff up really fast and then bringing it back down. And then there's something that happens to like the low end and artifacts that get added to the sample that could be, you know, pleasing to the human ear or to the listener. And that's what gave it the sauce, if you will. And it was just because of a necessity, right? So a necessity became a creative tool. And that's about it. Again, like I went on a little longer today just because that comment gave me more confidence in speaking to you guys, and you guys being interested in what I have to say. Obviously, that's why you're here. So if you want to keep supporting the channel, please like and subscribe. I see other people saying that in their videos. So, you know, help out. I noticed that a lot of my viewership is not even subscribed. So just keep showing love, man. That's what I want to do by being on this platform, is to show love, to add value, and to keep rocking with y'all, because y'all keep rocking with me. So it's your boy Free Play, and we're going to get to the ASR and make a beat using the sounds of the EP-133 or the Teenage Engineering KO2 sampler. All right, peace. All right, so we're here in front of the ASR 10, and as you guys can see, there's no instrument or bank files loaded into the ASR, and we're going to be working with the stock sounds or the factory sounds of the EP-133. I found them online, and they're a bunch of one-shots, so I'm going to load up some percussion sounds and some of their what they call melody sounds into the ASR and try to make a beat out of it. So obviously, a big charm about the KO2 is the way it looks like a calculator, and the Teenage Engineering team. You either love or hate it, but they have a quirky way of designing things, and that might inspire people to use it. And even though I'm constantly talking on the channel about not buying the newest thing or not being a victim to, influencer marketing. If something's going to inspire you to create more and is within your budget, by all means, invest your money how you want to. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your funds, but I'm a big proponent for using what I already have, and also exploring what's out there. So another thing that was mentioned by one of my subscribers is that the sounds on the EP-133 are knocking. So I have them here. I think they're the ones that come stock with them. Somebody uploaded them on a Google Drive, and I put them down in the description for you guys, and a link, a Dropbox link for you guys to be able to for you guys to be able to download. So I'm gonna start with a kick. I'm gonna sample into the first instrument track here, and we're gonna start building a beat from there. Today's BPM is gonna be, let's tap tempo. So the way you tap tempo BPM in the ASR is just by going to the tempo screen, having the number underlined, and then just hitting the enter or yes button here. So this is another good way to get a tempo, is like your natural rhythm, how you feeling that day, and I'm gonna just go click in. All right, 167. So that's a cool way to, like, all right, that's the speed I'm feeling at today, like for whatever reason. Maybe you had coffee, or maybe you just did something relaxing and you feeling more chill. So that's cool. I'm gonna go into the sample effect select. Lately I've been liking sampling at the 30K setting, and it also saves more memory for those that we were talking about that in the intro too. And no effects. So I'm gonna sample input dry right. That's where my computer is coming into. I'm gonna pick sample instrument 1. All right, dope. So let's go through these kicks, see how they sound. It has 31 kicks in the first folder, the kick folder. Let's see how they sound. Okay, I mean, pretty cool. I feel like I have all these sounds in different packs, so I guess this is a good starter for somebody that doesn't have any kick samples, but nothing here that I haven't heard before. And some of them are named things that imply where they're coming from. So like there's one called kick 9x9. I'm guessing that's coming from a 909 drum machine. And then there's one that's called Kick SP. So I guess this might have been sampled off of a SP, 1200. I know the producer that made the pack was mentioned somewhere. I forgot. I don't know the name of the person that put this together, but supposed to be like a very known producer that probably took these from his packs or his favorite drums and just make sure they were knocking. But nothing like out of this world from what I hear. These are standard kicks that you might use in a track. Okay, I'm gonna pick something. I like this one, and I did like the SP kick. Let me just do both of those. The first one, the micro kick, is cool too. The 909 is cool. Let's do the 909, let's be... I'm gonna adjust my preamp gain here because I like to be hitting the red, like I told you guys in my gain and headroom video. Just kissing that red distortion. preamp. It's not really distortion. It's like you're 6 dB away from clipping. So that's kind of like a good place to be according to the manual. And sonically, I like how things sound when I'm just hitting the red on the input signal. So let me hit sample and get that kick. Okay, that came in low. I'm gonna delete, hit the instrument and cancel. And I was doing it from the browser window, so I noticed that I get a little bit more gain when I drag it into the Ableton session and just play it back. So I'm gonna do it that way, and then obviously normalize and boost the sample to get more headroom. I mean more volume. So let me go back to sample. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the LFO. I'm gonna normalize my gain. And I'm gonna also boost my kick. Now that sounds good. So that's how it's coming out of Ableton. And then how it sounds now that it's sampled into the ASR 10. So even then, right, like to me that sounds totally different. And that's another advantage of having a sampler, that however your sampler interprets that sound and does the conversion. Obviously we spoke about this and we keep talking about it over and over again, but that's what's going to give you your own sound. So even if somebody's using the KO2 and I'm using the same sounds in my ASR, our beats are going to sound totally different. Whether that's better or worse, that's, you know, you be the judge. So I like how that's thumping. Actually, that is a good sample. Let me go to the snares, and I like to, you know what, for this example, I'm going to put the snare on the same instrument track as the kick. That way I could play them together. I'm going to put all my drums on the same track and show you guys how to sequence that way too, without having everything, you know, wasting other instruments. So I'm going to leave the kick on that pitch. I'm going to go here to the edit pitch window, and I'm going to go to set the range to that C4. That way now all my other keys are empty. Well, let me just leave it on C4. Now all my other keys are empty. And I can start placing different drum instruments on the same, on the same track, on the same instrument track. So I'm gonna name this drums. Yep. And I'm going to sample a snare. So I'm going to go into the 100 through 199 folder here. And once you get this pack, you'll be able to see. And obviously it's free because it's not mine. And hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. But they're all one shots. I don't see why this will have any issue. The cool thing here is that I could listen to see what snare I want to use. I like this high one. There's one that's called mid and high. I'm like, let me keep going through all of them. See if they have something that sounds kind of like vinyl-y. Oh, this one's called snare vinyl. There's one called snare MP3K, which I'm guessing is like a sample through the MPC 3000, probably. That's cool. Snare vinyl B. Oh, I like this roll. That's like some Jake One type of, he uses those. We're gonna use that actually too. Let me sample that right away actually. So it's gonna ask you usually when you're sampling into a track that's used, whether you want to do it on the same layer. I do, and then wave sample is gonna make a new wave sample. So this is cool because we've never done this on the channel before. So I'm gonna hit enter yes, and I'm gonna drag the sample into my Ableton session again because I feel like I get better volume when I play it back through here. And I'm gonna hit play and sample this. But I'm gonna hit enter first, and now it's waiting, and then I'm gonna hit play in Ableton. So I'm gonna play the root key here, and I want it to be on this D key. So I'm gonna hit D, and you'll hear it. It'll be there. And if I want to move it, I may want to move it here because I'm gonna have my snare here. So I'm gonna move it now. Actually, edit pitch. I'll put it in range. I'll put it here, and I want to turn off the edit pitch. Turn off the LFO. And I'm hitting up and down to go to 0. That's a shortcut of the ASR 10. I'm gonna command amp normalize gain. And this, I may not boost it. Let me see. We'll see. For now, I'm gonna leave it low because usually that's like a ghost type of vibe, a ghost note. When I'm doing beats, I use rolls like that. Like, I don't want them to be as prominent as the main kick and the main snare. So I'm gonna leave it boost off. I'm not gonna do any of the, what I've been doing recently was convert sample rate. That does give me more grit. And if I had more time, I would do it. Not more time, but when I run this command, it takes a long time. You see how the normalized gain is pretty quick because I have a short sample, but sometimes these convert sample rate could be takes a little bit longer. So that makes just the video a little bit, too long, even though, like I mentioned in the intro, I'm starting not to care how long these videos are because you guys don't mind it, and apparently don't mind me blabbing away. So let me find the snare. Actually, that's what we're doing. We were by this snare roll. London snare, a rim shot, your typical rim shot, like some crunchy rim mid, rim high, rim vinyl, rim 707 SP. So I'm guessing that's from a Roland 707 drum machine going through a SP. Rim shot DMX from the DMX drum machine. Rim dark, that sounds cool. And a rim shot 1. Side quest snare, I like that one. I like this side quest snare. It has like a weird artifact on it. So I'm gonna sample that. Input dry right. I'm gonna pick the same drum instrument, wave sample new, hit enter, waiting. Gonna hit play in Ableton. Play root key. Okay, it sounds a little low, so we know what to do now. LFO 1. I'm gonna go to my range, and then command amp normalize gain. This I do want to boost. So you see, like, not boosting this is like giving me the right dynamic of where things need to be in volume. So, and then let me just get a hi-hat. I'm basically going through every folder and loading like my favorite one. So this is kind of like how you would browse, but you're using the computer as, obviously the sample source, as I explained before. And then you're not cluttering your workstation with a bunch of extra kicks, because in a song you maybe need 1 or 2 kicks. You don't need 30 kicks like they have in that folder. And that's what makes people freeze up sometimes and gives them beat block, because they're not making decisions. And this, when you're sampling in, and another reason why I don't like to save, people get on me for not saving in the ASR 10. I stopped messing. I have SCSI, I have floppy disk, I bought blank floppies. I don't save any of my sounds. I sample them every time I make a beat. I'm sampling every time because I hear things different every day, and I like sampling. Like, I just like the process of sample. Oh, and sometimes I do it with less gain, more gain, and I feel like even if it sounds different, I don't care if it's not the same exact way that I did it the way before. So I stopped saving. I just make a beat and I dump it into the DAW. That's the best way that I feel like doesn't give me creative block and makes the process exciting for me. Because loading up things that are already there is like, what's the fun in that? Like, we want to sample, right? That sounds cool. This sounds like a live hi-hat. So I'm going to sample that. And I'm going to sample that into like this black key right here. So I can have my drums like close to each other. Sample. Got it. I'm gonna do the same thing. Range is gonna be here. And I'm gonna go to edit pitch. I was already there. My bad. There, command amp normalize. Normalize gain. That I like without being boosted. See, sometimes boosting it makes it way too loud. And I like this, like, it's gonna sound more natural like this. This slaps, but this sounds, to me, it sounds better like that. But use your ears, use your own judgment. Let me find an open hat, too. I haven't been putting open hats in my beats lately, but I think I want to today. The hats sound cool. The hats are pretty cool. Open hat real. I think I'm gonna go with that. Let me see how that sounds with. Okay, that one seems to work better with this one that I have here. So I'm gonna sample this one. It's called hat open 9x9. So I guess that's a 909 hat. Cool. And my kick is a 9x9 kick, so I guess that also is gonna work good together. Let's see. But I'm not going by just picking all the 9x9 samples that this thing has. I'm just picking the ones that I hear and I like. I'm gonna put the open hat on this D sharp key. Let me sample. Okay, same thing. I always do it. LFO off. Command normalize. We didn't set the range, so you see this sample disappeared. But all you got to do is go to edit pitch. Make sure your range is just to that one key. And the cool thing when you're on this screen, if you hit the key twice, it'll move automatically over to set the one for the low and high. So the sample is only going from D4 to D4. You could set the range obviously to the whole keyboard, but in this case we just want a single one shot on here. So yeah, and then we're gonna make sure that this layer is on trigger so that it kind of cuts itself off. All right, cool. So I feel like that's enough sounds for a drum pattern that we could start making, and then we could start going through the melody chops and see what we come up with then. So let's start coming up. My finger drumming sucks, in my opinion, but I'm gonna maybe overdub or play the kick and hat first. I mean the kick and snare first. And see how that sounds. And do like 2 or 4 bars of that. Keep 5 bars. Yeah, I'm gonna edit that to delete a bar. Okay, so this happens when it's blinking. I didn't have the instrument actually selected, so I gotta re-record my sequence. Okay, I didn't like how that came out, but I'm gonna just quantize it. Let's try 1/8 triplets. See if it has a little bounce to it. Entire track, yes. Okay, I could live with that. That's 4 bars. So I'm gonna do like a hi-hat. You want to make sure now that you're overdubbing that you're not in sequence record mode replace, because you're using the same track. So you want it to be on add, and that's going to help you overdub over this same track now that we're doing a different pattern with the same instrument track over itself. Okay, so here, now that I have the layer mode on trigger, and I explained this to you guys before, that causes like the sample to cut itself. So certain hits that are happening at the same time, like the hi-hat that's happening on the one, is causing that to happen. So there's 2 ways around it. I could change the layer mode, but another way that I could do that is on the same track is to create another layer that has a different mode, right? Like hi-hats, you sometimes don't want it to be on that trigger mode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this layer here, and I'm gonna basically create another layer. So that's basically like a layer could have different parameters. So if you do another layer on the same track, you're able to change like that glide mode on the second layer. So let me just show you. Just go to command layer, create new layer, layer 2 created. And then what I could do is I could take this wave sample, go to layer 1. I could take these 2 wave samples, and I could hit command wave, copy, and I could copy that wave sample into the other layer. And I could copy parameters and data, and I'm gonna do that because what I end up doing is probably like deleting it from the first layer, or just re-recording it, you know. So yeah, created a whole new wave sample 6. So I'm gonna delete what these were called, wave sample 4 and 5. I'm gonna delete them when I'm done copying them over. So let me copy this next one. Okay, and then I'm gonna just set the range, make sure the range is the same as how I had it. It did copy, yeah, because it copied parameters and data, so you don't have to do any of that. And then I'm gonna go to layer 1, and I'm gonna delete that wave sample. Command wave, delete wave sample 4 and 5. Yes. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to edit 5. I'm gonna delete that one. Okay. So you see it says wave sample all. That's because technically those are now on layer 2. And this layer, edit layer, my glide mode is gonna be on off. So when I play that, you see now it's not chopping itself off like it was before. So hopefully you guys learned something from that as well now. And should I quantize this or not? Let's see. Let me try it. You see how it sounds? This sounds more natural when you leave your hi-hats like that. I'm gonna just see how it sounds if I do quantize it. And track 1, I don't want to do the entire range. I'm gonna quantize it to 1/8, but I don't want to do I'm gonna set range. So I wanted to quantize only from here, and here right now, because if I put the range from here to here, it's gonna do the snare too, and I don't want that to change from how I quantized it before. So I'm gonna just quantize the closed hat first, and then the open hat after. Start beat 1 and end at 4/4. Yes. I like that. It sounds more tight. Let's do that to the open hat too. So let me go to command quantize, track 1, not the entire track, set ranges. I want to just do this key now. And just like that other screen I showed you, when you hit the key twice, it sets the ranges for you automatically without you having to use the arrow key. Cool. This is going to stay the same, and it's going to run the command. I like how that sounds. So we got a little drum loop going. Let's put that little fill there somewhere. The little snare roll on some Jake One tip. I hear him use that a lot. That reminds me of him, especially on the ASR. So let me see where that fits. Usually at the end of the 4th bar, maybe, or anywhere really. Let's improvise it while it plays back, and then add it to the sequence. Yeah, I'm gonna do it like every 2 bars, and we're still on sequence mode add, so that's gonna be fine. And I don't think this should interfere with any of the hits that are going on in each layer, because remember, these hats are in different layers, and the kick or the snare is not gonna happen at the same time as this. So I think I should be fine. But if I have to put it in a different layer, you guys already saw how I did that and how to avoid that from cutting itself off. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, that's cool. That doesn't need to be quantized. That sounds like it'll sound better like that, natural. All right, so like you guys know from what I've said before in other videos, I like to start with the drums, and we already have a drum beat going. So I'm gonna go into the melody folder. They have a perk folder here that seems to have like claps and tambourines, things like bongos and It has perk sounds, but I like to start with a basic, toms and stuff. I like to just start my drum patterns with, kick, snare, and maybe hat. Sometimes I don't like to put a hat. And my bass, I do it normally after the melody. So I'm going to go through the melody folder and see what they got there and pick something. Let me do that while the drums play. That means sounding piano, and it says, the piano says, I'm sorry, let me stop this. The piano says S95X, so that's probably a 950 sample from the Akai S950. That sounds pretty mean, sounds like it gives me Primo vibes, and he uses the 950. I'm gonna highlight that piano because I might come back to it. I'm gonna put it on my favorites folder and keep going through sounds. That's nice. Sly synth chord, so maybe Sly and the family, the group. Sounds mean too. I like mean sounding stuff. I go from two modes. I like jazzy, chill, lo-fi stuff, or really dark, mean sounding samples. That's feeding my jazz side, but these drums sound a little bit angry and high tempo, so I'm going more for house chord. It's cool, but not for this. That's kind of cool. Favorite. This one says S61XS. Sorry, hard to hear me over the drums. But S6I2, so that's probably from the Kai S612 sampler. Again, hinting where they got some of these sounds from or what they were processed through. So there's just a few more melodies, one-shots here that we're going to go through all of them. And that gives you a vibe of what the EP-133 KO2 sounds like. I like the drums more than I like these melody sounds. I'm not gonna lie, but that's cool. Let's see. All right, so I highlighted a few things that jumped out at me. Out of everything, there was 59 sounds in that folder. We went through all of them. I only liked 5. So, it's a sampler at the end of the day, so you don't have to keep all these sounds inside the 133. The idea is for you to create your own chops, but I was more impressed with the drums, and even then I feel like I do have those lying in different folders of my huge drum sample folder that I've been collecting over many years of working on music. Let me try this piano. Let's sample this. Okay, let's sample that. That way we could keep it moving. I'm gonna check also before I sample. I'm gonna check with Ableton Tuner what key that is in or chord that's playing. It's a D chord. Sounds like obviously a D major, I would say, but I'm gonna put it on D in another instrument track. So let me sample. Let me see what the levels are coming in. Might be a little hot. There we go. Sample. Input dry right. And I like to know the key, right, when I look at the tuner, so that I could put it in the right key automatically when it asks me for a root note. And that way, most of the sample, even if it's spread across the keyboard, is in the right tonality. Let's see how it sounds if I leave the LFO. It sounds fine. I'll leave it for this sound. Normalize gain. I might want to boost it. You know what? Even if it takes a little long, let me downsample this. I'm gonna do it all the way down. Is what I've been doing recently. Hopefully, it don't take too long. Yeah, see what it did? That's cool. I'm gonna keep that. So automatically, you're making things your own, even though we're using the sounds from the, like I said, that pack. And it's spread across the keys. I'm gonna leave it like that. See if I come up with something. Okay, I want to make that a 8-bar sequence, so I'm gonna go to my sequence. I'm gonna append. And now I'm going to record. And here, I could still leave it on add, but I want to make sure that if I do want to do it over, if I get it wrong, that I put it on mode replace. Because I'm not overdubbing. This is another track and another part of the sequence. So let me record that before I forget what I did. I already forgot what I did, but let me try that again. Alright, cool. That, I'm gonna hear it back, see if I need to quantize it, but I think I played it in right. That was off right there. So I do need to fix that. I think it was on the 5th bar, so I might just fix that range or quantize the whole track. Let me try that 116. I need to quantize it a little tighter, maybe to 1/8. And I could do the range like I did in the last video, but I feel like sometimes this is faster. Yeah, that fixed it. That fixed it, okay. So move on. This is gonna be a simple beat, and a lot of hip hop beats are simple. If you want to be real, once you have a dope sample, or if you're making a beat like this without like a recognizable sample, it's gonna have a few elements, and then you might either have musicians come in and play something, or another producer, but you get the basic vibe going. Like, this is a dark beat, this is the key of it, and this is the emotion of it. You're the producer, you know. I want to find a bass sample. Oh, the bass samples, I was listening to them. They sound pretty cool. So let me see what. bass sample. And then again, I like to run it through 808 type of vibe. Prodigy Punch, I'm guessing from the Moon Prodigy. That's a cool one, called Chicago. That's it. Okay. That one sounds okay. Let me just pick one and keep it moving. Let me see what the tuner is saying. And everybody uses tuners, like guitar players, they tune their guitar strings with a tuner. So none of this is cheating. There's no cheating in music. There's either efficiency or using your tools to what their strengths are. And if you wanted to, you could connect the tuner, I have one here, to the headphone out and check what the tuning was with this. This is what people might have used before there was Ableton, or where they were getting their samples from. Because how else, unless you have perfect pitch, are you supposed to know where that goes on the key range? So let me play back the sample. And it's saying like it's in a G, and it seems to be like a little bit flat. So I'm gonna tune the wave sample before I put it into my ASR. So I'm gonna go to the pitch and kind of go up a few cents. See what's happening. Still, I went up 12. Let me go up 24. Almost there. Go up another 8, 32. Yeah, that's hitting a G a lot closer. So yeah, you could tune it by using I'll show that more when I share my screen at my Ableton screen, but I'm basically using the warp section that allows me to change the pitch of the sample by either semitones or cents. And I went up 32 cents to bring the bass note into key. So this is something that if you were using it on the EP-133, unless you have perfect pitch and know how to tune things there, your G note would have been flat. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people make atonal beats, and maybe when I started I wasn't in key all the time, but I like being, in the key of what I'm working in. So I'm gonna sample this in another instrument track and put it across the keyboard and come up with a bass line for this piano and drum loop thing that I got going on. Sample. Before I do that, let me delete that. I'm gonna name this track piano. And I didn't check the gain of the bass. So I didn't want to sample it without doing that. Trying to get faster at this naming thing. Okay, let me hear that again while watching this. I'm messing with the dial here in the back. And just when it starts to light up, that's where I like to be. So let me go into the same command sample. And that's a G. So I'm gonna put it here. This, I'm gonna command amp normalize it. I might boost it. Let me see what happens with the LFO off. Sounds better to me, more clean, especially when you don't want to be doing too much pitch stuff to bass sounds and stuff. It could cause phasing issues. Remember, if you hit up and down, it takes you to G automatically. So depending on where you want to go, it'll bring you closer to that letter. That one, I left it there. All right, bet. my layer glide on track trigger. And I'm gonna go to this one and make sure I'm on trigger too. That way it cuts itself off. Sound cleaner a lot of times when you're making sample beats. Let me go to my sequence, play it back, hear it. See if I could play the fifth, maybe. So I'm trying to play the fifth like in between the empty spaces just to add variation to the pattern. And the fifth will be like the fifth note in the D chord. So a D minor is a D major chord is D, this F sharp and A. Minor is flat, so the minor will be this. So this is the fifth. So I'm playing it up here. I'm gonna play something like that. So I'm gonna incorporate the fifth, this note of the D major chord into the bass line, and then the rest I'm gonna just play the root notes. That should be a safe bet. Okay, and I'm gonna quantize because I think I could have done that better, but let's use our tools. 1/16 triplet maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna play it again. There's some mistake there. So this is where I'm messing up now. I'm keeping old, and remember my track sequence record mode was on add. I need it to be on replace so that it overdubs and deletes. Okay, cool. I like that. And I played it better that time. I don't feel like quantizing it now. Now I'm gonna add one more element from the same pack, from the factory pack, and call this a rap. Again, these are not long drawn out beats. It's more like just putting a sequence together, 8 bars, and from there you can mute and make a whole arrangement. But we don't want these videos to be 2 hours now, do we? You guys answer that. sample that tambourine into this drum group. I'm gonna sample into layer 2 because it might cut off if I put it in the first layer. So sample 1 and layer 2, new wave sample. Drag it into Ableton. Oh, sorry, let's do that again. It has the bass on it too. I forgot to mute the bass. Let me delete that wave sample. Wave, delete. Yes. And I don't want to delete like the shortcut to delete the whole track because obviously I'll delete all my drums. Let me do that again without the bass. So like I was trying to play it on every upbeat, and it's making a cool noise when it's like phasing against the hi-hat. But I'm gonna see, maybe with the boost off, record that. And here, since I'm gonna be using track 1, I don't want it to be on replace. I want it to be on add mode. So you gotta know what mode you're in the sequencer. And it's, as you guys can see, the ASR sequencer is very underrated in my opinion. I like it. I like how it swings. I like how it sounds, and I like how simple it is to use and to get something going. I'm not gonna quantize. I'm gonna keep going and find a couple of more elements for this beat. I wish I had like some vocal sample. And this clave sounds cool. Solo it, sample. See how easy it is to just keep adding sounds onto your beat by sampling them as you go. I'm gonna put that on top of the snare. that, I want to quantize. Oh, I'm not cancel. Not entire track. Oh, it didn't ask me yet. My bad. I thought it did. Set range. Yeah. Want to change the pitch of that. Could do that by changing the root key here. Okay, I might add one last element that I hear just so that the beat is not that monotonous. There's a E minor 7 liquid chord here that is in the pack too that I highlighted, and I'm going to just sample it down in the ASR. I'm gonna record the chord, and since I know it's on E minor 7, then I could easily put it down from E, 2 semitones, 1, 2 to D, which is where my progression is at. So I'm gonna go and sample that into a new instrument track. I named everything. Yep, sample. Well, before I do that, let me make sure I'm in the right gain structure here. Yeah, you see I had to increase it a little bit so it won't be too low. Now let me sample this empty track. My root key is this E. And I'm gonna leave the LFO on it, and I'm going to Command amp. Command complete. I'm going to name it chord. So since it's a D major, obviously the chord is E minor 7, and this is in D major. Like the chord obviously sounds dark. It's like a D chord. So the cool thing is though that the second note that we're playing is a E chord, and then an F chord, an F note, which again I don't think that's in D major, but that's what I played. But anyways, I could probably play those two in between and see how that sounds. This is music theory. I'm not great at music theory. I use my ears most of the time, but I start off with just making sure things are on the right corresponding key, and then use my ear and navigate. I'll play every note in the scale. There's only what they say. There's only 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're gonna find one that fits in there. So don't be afraid. It looks intimidating because it's a lot, but everything repeats itself. So you're really only working with different octaves of just these same 12 notes. So music is not that hard. That'll be cool because it adds, like, it's not playing the whole time. And those two notes go. So let me play those in. Yeah, and that sounds cool. And I would be able to add something on the one if I wanted to. I like this little quirky sample that's in the pack. You see, I mean, I guess the EP-133 is fun because, like, the more I'm building off of just sounds from their factory pack, you know, it's like, it's giving me a cool beat that I could make with just the sounds that come in it. So I could see how somebody that's never had a sampler and this is their introduction to it, $300, you're gonna definitely have fun with that little thing. I mean, there was, you know, some talk about the quality issue on it. So that's what scares me because I don't just be having these days like 300 just to drop on anything frivolously. But you know, if I come up on a little bag, I might get a little EP-133. Who knows? I like it. I like how portable it looks. But you know, its flimsiness that was talked about with the fader gate in the beginning of its launch cycle, that kind of had me worried. So I'm never an early adopter of anything. I let, you know, the time pass and then I get it later. But let me sample that. I'm blabbing again. Let me sample that and wrap up this beat. I think that last sound is gonna bring everything together pretty nicely. So let me go ahead and put that on track 5. Again, I keep forgetting. Let me check the gain. You know what? Let me drive that sound. It's gonna sound a little distorted, but I want to have it that way. Don't be afraid to distort your preamp. You know, that gives it another character too. That distortion, let me lower it because my mic is also connected to the preamp of the ASR. So that distortion is going to be on the sample and it's going to give it some character. And that one's called buzz delay. So let's call that buzz. And I know this video is going to be hella long. And I'm probably not going to edit or cut if I don't have to. There wasn't too much empty spaces there, so I'm going to just leave it for you guys that like long videos. Okay, let me normalize that. I could hear that crunchiness from me driving the preamp on it. Let me boost it, see how loud it gets. Okay. Now let me play it with the beat and then I'm gonna go into the volume section and adjust it. that's what I like about the ASR too. Like I just sampled it because I liked it as a one shot. But then when it spreads it across the keyboard, I start playing the sounds like an instrument. And maybe like here I didn't tune it in Ableton before, or I don't even know what key this is in, or note it's hitting, but I'm just using my ear, and that could add some element of, you know, like another melodic element to the instrument. So let me keep playing with that because I like how it sounded. I'll just use it as a one chop. Like I have fun with that all day. I could keep going, but I'm gonna just put it on the empty spots for now. And then I'm gonna just keep rocking with Cha Man. I'm gonna cut this off after this. Go crazy from here, start adding effects, putting things on different buses, but I feel like the videos are already crazy long, and I'm gonna just mute a certain parts here and there, and you know, I'm gonna holla at y'all in the next video. That was the factory sounds of the EP-133. You can find them in the descriptions. Keep rocking with me, keep showing love. It's your boy Free Play. We out.